pressure on Aramita Cowper, who would in turn pressure Cressida to find herself a husband. Like that is something Cressida has even a modicum of control over. She's not the one who decides who marries. This isn't a society where she can force a man to choose her. The men hold all the power in the patriarchal society that is Bridgerton, and they make it seem like the women are in control. Cressida reveals the falsity of that positioning. If she could control things, if she was the one in charge, if she was the one making the true decisions of her life, if she was offered any semblance of power over her life, she wouldn't choose to be unmarried. She would have made her choice of a husband ages ago. She would have chosen the prince after Daphne chose Simon. Instead, she has to sit and wait for marriage to happen to her and deal with a family who would cut off her access to the only friend she's had since she came out as being of marriageable age. But that is the reality, the honest truth of what happens when your family only sees your worth in when you marry, how you marry, and who you marry. And we see that with Cressida Cowper and her parents. A marked contrast to all of Lady Featherington's machinations, who, even with all her scheming, schemes for the benefit of her daughters, wants them to be happy. And it's okay with Penelope staying unmarried, even if it is for selfish reasons and she wants to have one daughter present to care for her in her old age and doesn't think Penelope necessarily has any prospects. But even with that, she's still okay with her daughter's choices. It goes to further show just how good of a mother Portia Featherington is. But back to Cressida and her truths, and how they give us further insight into the ton. Her mentioning to Eloise about her not having any friends since she came out as marriageable confirms something that is quite true to their world. Because after she said that, that comment about how their society pits young girls against each other, which meant that the last time she had a true friend was when she was a child, I thought back on what we've seen so far, and the world of Bridgerton doesn't depict female friendships. Like outside of Eloise and Pen's friendships, what other female friendships do we get? It feels like these women can only be friends with their siblings like the Bridgerton girls, or they merely exist floating in each other's orbit, friendly but not really friends in the true sense of the word. Daphne doesn't have any female friends. The only friend that Kate is shown to have is her sister Edwina. Francesca, even with her return from Bath, doesn't have any friends either. Hyacinth is too young, but so far the only person she's really close to is Gregory, who is closest to her in age. And when we take a step further back to look at things as a whole, we realize that the ambitious performers of the time
When?
don't really have friends
Right.
either.
No.
Except maybe the sort
Why?
of
What
friendship
does she need?
between
What
Lady
story?
Catherine and
Alright,
Queen,
the
but that is
neighborhood.
all. That
You're
is
so
it.
annoying.
Whilst the men
Sure.
of the time who are not actively competing with each other to gain a wife because they are the prize of their
I freaking hate
society,
y'all.
the women have to be more cutthroat in their desire to nab themselves a husband.
Trying to draw a
Which
night.
then means that the girls that are around them are not possible friends but all rivals who are competing with them for the attention of the men of
A
the
night.
time. It is a sad world, and one that further shows just how stacked the world is against women, especially women like Cressida. And she's honest with admitting that.
Or did you
Just
want
as
her to
she's
take the
honest
car?
enough to admit that yes, she
Just-
has been cruel. But Eloise even more
Or
so
if you
for
want to drive,
gossiping
you
to
can
her
drive.
about someone Eloise used to
Grab my keys
consider
and
a
go.
friend. She holds up an honest mirror about the hypocrisy that Eloise showed in that scene by assuming that Cressida gossiped about the truth of Colin helping Penn with finding a husband. Cressida Cowper has always been a viewpoint through which we can honestly assess the society of Bridgerton, especially that of the upper members of the town.
The
Through
eyes
her
are not level.
interactions, we learn the truths of her world, and I do think that it is when she learns to not only tell us these truths, but be true to herself, that she would finally find her match. And that is why I do think that the show might match her with Lord Devlin. Now we know that Bridgerton needs to retain the OG pairings of the books so as to stay true to the story and the world that they are adapting. But I'm pretty sure the terms of their contract allows them to make changes to lesser characters. For example, Philippa
Thank
Featherington
you.
who marries Nigel Burbrook in the books, not Albion Finch like in the show. And
Ew.
before notebook readers are like,
She
how
marries
on earth could
Nigel?
Portia allow her daughter marry such an odious man like Nigel. It isn't the rapey piece of shit we get in the show. That is a show adaptation. Nigel Burbrook in the books is merely persistent and not very bright, and his cluelessness and lack of social graces is a perfect fit for Philippa in the books. Albion Finch, however, is absolutely perfect for show Philippa, and I love them together, and their weird mutual love for cheese. Prudence
Let me see.
Frederington as well also gets
The
quite a
Honesty
change
of
in her husband, as in the
Cassandra
books.
Cowper
She
and What It
married
Says
Robert
About the
Elsie,
Ton
but in the show, her
by
husband is
Chronicles of
married at
Noria.
birth. So clearly, the
So I'm
show
watching right now.
writers
Shit,
do
where's
not
my
mind
reference?
messing with the pairings of secondary characters so long as they are a good and balanced fit. And I believe Cressida would be a great fit for Lord Deblin.
I always
Like
struggle
Penelope, she
nose
too
last, I've
sees marriage
noticed.
as an escape. And honestly, I really do love how there are such similarities between them both. It just makes me pissed that society has set Cressida up to only see Penelope as a threat because they do have so much in common and would have been great friends. Unless that is the point, that they are too alike and so wouldn't have been able to get along well enough to become great friends. But anyway, as I was saying, Cressida, like Penelope, wants to escape from her parents and gain her freedom. But unlike Penelope, who wants to and gets married for love, Cressida isn't really as picky, which means that Lord Devlin is an excellent match for her. She would get to leave her father's house, lord over her own house, maintain the level of wealth to which she's accustomed. It suits her perfectly well. And when it is revealed that Lord Debley just wants a partner who is honest to themselves, and she realizes that truly this is a man who wouldn't judge her, and they retain and resume the connection that was starting to grow at the hot air balloon exhibition, I believe married to Lord Deblin is actually pretty viable for her. But then the question becomes, what happens when the Lady Whistledown mystery steps into place? And this is where we enter spoiler territory from the book, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is the Pauline novel. So if you haven't read it yet and don't want to be spoiled, then thank you for having come so far. Be sure to hit the like button before you go and subscribe. If you aren't yet, you can come
I
back
draw
to
a
this
knight.
part of the video after Bridgerton Season 3B airs. Bye. Okay, now that I'm left with only those who have read the book or don't care about spoilers, in Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, Lady Danbury, who is bored like the rest of the ton and is looking for some excitement, offers a reward of £1,000 to anyone who can unmask Lady Whistledown. It is this offer that brings Cressida Cowper out of the woodwork, although in the book at this time she is Cressida Drumley, now widow of Lord Twombly, who she had married back in Benedict's book, An Offer from a Gentleman. And after Lord Twombly's death, Cressida falls into hard times. She needed money, she risked becoming utterly impoverished. Remember, the event of Romancing Mr. Bridgerton takes place 11 years after Penelope came out in her first season. She really was, at this point of the story, the very definition of an old maid at that time. She and Eloise both. But back to Cressida. She makes the claim to Lady Danbury that she is Lady Whistledown and asks for the reward money. Lady Danbury, though, doesn't buy it and asks her for proof. And when she, Lady Danbury, brings it up to Penelope in a passing conversation that Cressida is claiming to be Lady Whistledown, Penelope responds that she hopes not, as it would break her heart to learn that Cressida is Lady Whistledown. Shortly afterwards, Lady Whistledown writes a final piece and categorically states that Cressida Cowper isn't her, and it would break her heart for anyone to think so. This line is what reveals her identity to Cressida, however, who starts blackmailing her so she can get money out of Penelope. Now that's where I'm going to stop because I don't want to reveal the ending, and season 3B is dropping next week anyway. But the way Cressida is being written this season, the parallels we've been getting between her and Penelope, make me wonder if the writers might change the direction of her story so it doesn't play out exactly the way it does in the books. What do I mean by that? Romancing Mr. Bridgerton is the very last time we ever see a Lady Whistledown column in the Bridgerton books. She's a non-presence into Sir Philip with Love, When He Was Wicked, Hi Michael, It's in His Kiss, Hey Gareth, and in On the Way to the Wedding. I don't see the show taking that route because Lady Whistledown has become just too goddamn iconic for the show audience. The books are primarily focused on the Bridgerton children and their love matches, but the show has taken several liberties in expanding on the lives and importance of secondary characters, some of whom do not even play a role in the books at all. Which my next Bridgerton video dropping next Wednesday, just before the release of the second half of season 3 on Thursday, will focus on the Mondriches and how their story is connected to Penelope. So remember, hit subscribe, come back next Wednesday at 5 p.m. EST for that. And of all the side characters, Lady Whistledown, voiced by the amazing Queen herself, Julie Andrews, is her own character. Even though she's the thoughts of Penelope, she's still one of the most iconic characters of the show. She brings the drama, she serves the plot. She can be employed to move pieces around, turn attention whatever way the writers want us to turn. They wouldn't give her up. So, how do they fix that? How do they merge that? I had a theory and I was so happy to see that Reddit user Chickstyle Queen agreed with me. In a response to a Cressida Cowper post on the Bridgerton Netflix Reddit, they said Cressida will become Lady Whistledown. Speculation only. I know she's going to try to uncover Lady Whistledown for the reward, but what if they are trying to redeem her character enough so that Penelope will pass the pen to her so that she can gain independence from her terrible family just like Penelope has? I was screaming, yes, so loud to that post because that was my exact thought. Actually, not exact, because there are some differences between what they think would happen and what I think would happen. For example, I do agree that Cressida Cowper will become Lady Whistledown. She likes to gossip, she has a good understanding of the ton and the role everyone plays, and becoming Lady Whistledown moves her from just being the mean girl with the snide remarks to becoming someone who is central to society, which has always been her desire and the driving force behind her motivation in the story so far. But I don't think she would take up the pen as her escape from her family. I think the writers would have her marry Lord Deblin, and they would both have their desires. His to have a wife and partner who he can trust and come home to after months of expedition spent in unreachable places, and hers to have a husband and a home and be out of reach of her parents. She would also have time, and with Lord Deblin's vast fortune and positioning at Mayfair, she will be invited to all the events and shindigs, giving her access to everything that is happening and foiling her gossip and writing. It would have its adventures, she would have Lady Whistledown, and neither of them would be bored. But the next question to ask then would be how this would even be possible, because there is absolutely no way Penelope would give up Lady Whistledown, right? In the book, she does. She gives it up for
I'm
Colin
done.
Bridgerton, and she
Bye.
turns to writing